On this episode of Defining Wealth Beyond the Numbers, I sit down with Lola Campbell, who's the owner of Binya Boutique LLC. Lola is a sixth-generation native of Hilton Head Island and deeply rooted in Gullah culture and heritage. Through her work as an entrepreneur, author, and founder of both Binya and Gone Gullah, she is dedicated to preserving and sharing the stories, traditions, and identity of the Gullah community. This is a conversation about legacy, culture, and the importance of honoring where you come from while building something meaningful for the future. We hope you enjoy this conversation, and be sure to subscribe and follow along so you never miss an episode. Welcome, Lola. Thanks for being here on the Defining Wealth Beyond Numbers podcast. For me in this podcast, I like to learn about people, and I think you learn a lot by people's first job and the jobs they had when they were younger. So let me start off with, what was your first job?
Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. And my first job, it was a really fun job, actually. My first job was at Sweet Sensations on Main Street on Hilton Head. Okay. It is now where Cactus Cantina is, for those out there who know that establishment. And I served ice cream, I served desserts, and I served some sandwiches for lunch. It was owned by a couple who lived on the island for a long time, and it was just a great first job because, they were kind of like parents to all of the kids who were working there, and they just taught us a lot about, being responsible and cleaning up and doing everything we need to do. So had a lot of fun.
Interacting. My kids, their first job was at Frozen Moo.
Oh, yeah.
So they're serving ice cream. and it's amazing. You can see the difference in their interaction because they're forced to interact with customers, and you learn a lot. So that's pretty interesting.
I did. I learned a lot of manners and just how you interact with people, small talk, which is hard for a lot of our kids today.
Well, they can text it, but
right.
To actually speak it is a little different. But that's a skill that you take for the rest of your life, right?
Yes, for sure.
And then what about from there? What was your path?
So from there, graduated from Hilton Head High School, went to University of Georgia, go Dogs. And I was, among the minority that went across the border. Yeah. And so from there, I took some time off, worked for SunTrust in Atlanta, and thought, nope, this is not me. I'm going back to school, and decided to go back to school and went to law school. So went to law school at Howard University in Washington, D.C., one of the best experiences of my life. Even though I don't practice today as a lawyer, I do not regret that decision at all. So from there, I went on up to New York City, moved a little bit further north, and was working in banking for, I guess about 15 to 20 years, somewhere in there.
In the city?
In the city. So I was living in Brooklyn, commuting to Manhattan. Born, by the way. Oh, wow. I love it. That Brooklyn, I would say, is definitely my second home, after Hilton Head. So I lived there from, about 13 and a half years in the city, but from Brooklyn to the Upper East Side to the Upper West Side, back to Brooklyn. It
always drew you back.
Exactly. And in New York City, you probably know people move around a lot, for whatever reason. Yeah. So I worked for a number of banks while I was in New York City. The first one being Lehman Brothers until its demise.
You were there at that?
I was there.
Were you one of the ones carrying the boxes out? No.
I was not, actually. But my parents were down here in South Carolina looking at television and seeing people carrying boxes out.
Oh,
and
I remember that.
Yes. They're calling me like, okay, do you still have
What's
a job?
happening? Yeah.
We see people.
Because everything was falling apart at that point, too.
It was.
Or at least it felt that way.
It felt that way for sure. And, most of the people who were older than me there, they had what they would explain it as, they had, really been there for the good run. And, I came in and only had 3 years of it. And, anyway, as a lawyer, and the legal department really was there until the end, like until Lehman was bought.
So you were in the legal department?
I was in the legal department. Yes.
Wow. You must have some stories.
Yeah.
Off camera? Well, let's talk about that. I'd love to hear
we
that.
can. So I worked for a number of banks while in New York City, and then around 2017, I started thinking, I really want to move back down south. Kind of tired of the rat race. Also, at that time, I'd already had my son, who was at that time maybe, I think 4, almost 5, and it was almost time for school, and it's just a lot to deal with in the city. And yes, and I knew I wanted him to really grow up the way I grew up. So I started looking for jobs down here, kind of hard to find, but I was lucky to get a job with Wells Fargo. And, they said, well, you can start in New York and then move to Charlotte. So that was a little bit closer to home. Compromise.
That's halfway back the opposite way. You know what a halfback is? When they say people move to Florida from New York and then halfway back to here? Well, you did the same thing, but the other way around.
Exactly. I ended up in Charlotte working for Wells Fargo up until COVID. I like to say that it was a silver lining to that COVID cloud for me, because I was able to actually move back home to Hilton Head permanently. Thought I was just coming to hang out for a couple of weeks at first.
I think that's a lot of stories.
Right. And then I was here for a while. And luckily, my manager understood that, I could do the remote thing and be able to be with family, who is just my big support. I am a single mom, so I should say that too. So that support is needed.
Yep.
And
even when you're not.
Yeah. Exactly. It's always needed.
I have 2 kids, and it's not easy.
Yeah, you love to have your parents around for all the babysitting and all that, right?
Most of the time.
Yeah. We could talk about some stories off camera about that too.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was able to move back here, kind of just, put some roots down again. And up until May of last year, so May of 2025, I was actually working part-time for Wells Fargo. And then, because I eventually went to part-time, and then also had opened my business, Binya.
Okay.
And so my mom and sister were kind of helping out with the business, and I was still, working the 9 to 5. And then unfortunately, but maybe fortunately, I was laid off from...
Blessing in disguise.
Yes.
There's a lot of stories like that.
Yes. I truly think it's a blessing in disguise. I never would have quit the job, but it was getting to be pretty stressful, just being able to raise a child, run a business, and try to stay on top of work that is not easy. So I worked in the derivatives field, which added...
You don't do anything easy, do you? Wow.
No, it's not worth it.
You take on some challenges. I like that.
Yes. So I pivoted and really kind of reinvented myself a little bit once I was laid off. And, I had all these people asking, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to go back to New York? Are you going to go back to Charlotte? Are you going to find another, legal job? And I still have people asking, have you found a job yet? And inside, I really didn't want to find another job. And I would say, oh, yeah, I'm looking, or, maybe we'll see what happens. But I really knew inside I wanted to just really be able to pursue the entrepreneurship. I wanted to be able to like make my retail business better. I wanted to be able to really work on the consulting side, which I don't know, I'm sure you'll ask me about more, but I wanted to do all of that.
Yeah.
So that is a long way, sorry, of telling you how I got to from University of Georgia to here.
I love this story. I'd love to hear it. So yes, I'd like to know a little bit more about your business. If you can explain, you have the retail side and you have the consulting side. Just give us a sense of what that is.
Yeah, sure. So Binya, the retail boutique, which is a local Gullah and Low Country gift shop, started about 4 years ago. So April of 2022.
When you were doing the other job.
While I was doing the other job. And yes. And so opened the store because there really wasn't a lot like that. Not a lot for tourists to be able to come and buy a souvenir or an item that actually represents the Gullah culture here. And so once I opened the shop, I just had a lot of other opportunities that really segued into consulting, because people would ask about my opinion on how to do an event or how to do something authentically. I'm working with an organization that wants to redo their Gullah exhibit in a museum-like setting, and they want to be able to do it authentically and tell the story
correctly.
Yes, correctly.
Yeah.
So that's how I just started the consulting side of it. And it has gone from anything from curating items in a local hotel gift shop to doing something like the Gullah exhibit, or helping someone, create a video that talks about some of the things here. And a big project I just worked on that consulting side would be producing a short documentary about the culture here on Hilton Head. And
nice.
Yeah. And that's been awesome.
When's that going to be released?
So it's already out there, but not publicly streaming. We actually premiered it on February 12th at historic Mitchellville Freedom Park. The documentary's name is The Spirit We Move With, and it's gone to some film festivals, accepted to, I think the number is 6 now, and a finalist for a Shorty Award.
Wow.
So I may be back in New York City soon.
I like that.
Yes.
You don't settle down, do you?
No, I don't. People usually ask, when do you sleep? And I said, I do sleep. I do. I'm not lying. I do. Maybe not a lot.
So let me get into this entrepreneurship, because you obviously, just hearing your story, it seems as if you're willing to accept challenges. You like to keep moving ahead. So what qualities do you think someone needs as an entrepreneur, and what drew you to that?
I think you need a lot of drive. Be able to operate on little sleep sometimes. And
when necessary.
Yes, when necessary. But just ambition. I also think a foundation. For me, I think I was drawn to entrepreneurship because of the foundation with my family.
Okay.
I often say in the Gullah culture, a lot of my ancestors had to be entrepreneurs because there were no more opportunities for them other than that.
I never thought about it that way. That's interesting.
Yes. Think about living here on Hilton Head in, let's say, the late 1800s to the early 1900s.
Wow.
And my grandfather was born in 1921. on this island, and he, was basically a craftsman. He built boats for transportation for people. He built homes, some of the original homes that were on Singleton Beach, of Black families from Savannah who were able to build beach houses but could not go to the beach in Savannah. So, he did that. My great grandfather was a teacher and a reverend. It just, and then there are other families, other historic or Gullah families here in this area, Hilton Head and Bluffton, that you will, if you talk to them, they will tell you, they were either farmers, craftsmen, they were oystermen, fishermen, shrimpers. They did what it took.
And by the way, that is part of entrepreneurship, right?
Yes.
You just do what you need to do.
You do
and
it.
you get it done.
Yes.
And if there's a obstacle, you figure out how to get around it.
Right. And I think I've had to do that. And some of my path hasn't been me choosing it, I have to say. I think some of my path is just things that have fallen into my lap. you know?
See, but and that's true, but you seize the opportunity when it happened.
Yes.
Right. So that's the way I look at it. So yes, you need those opportunities that show up. But the question is, do you seize that opportunity?
Yeah.
And you did.
Yeah. Because you can just leave it there. Yeah. So
you're for sure. It's easier to stick with this, or it's easier to do what you know and stay at Wells Fargo and maybe get another banking job. But you chose to be an entrepreneur,
right?
Which is
and it's not easy to make those decisions sometimes. So for sure,
if someone owns a business now, right, and what were some of the qualities, or what do you think they should have in them besides the drive and all that to make that business successful?
Well, I think you need to know a little bit about numbers and accounting, even though that was my worst class in
I love numbers.
Just
I'm a wealth manager, so we love numbers. Yeah.
Or maybe get someone like you to help them, right? But I think you just need to be able to be disciplined, because you'd have to really make a plan. I think sometimes people just want to just do it and wing it, and that doesn't always work. No. It does. Usually it doesn't.
You'll have a lot of, if it does, you will encounter a lot of issues that you could have avoided.
Yes.
If you had some sort of plan.
Yes. Yes. So business plan, utilizing resources that are here. We actually have a lot in this community for people who want to start businesses. So I would say that, they should really utilize those, ask for help when you need it instead of just trying to do it on your own.
And a lot of people here want to help. That's what's amazing about the community. They want to help. So yeah, I agree with that.
Right. We actually have lots of retired people that are what some people would call PIPs, previously important people. They have moved to this area, and they have a wealth of knowledge that they're willing to just give you for free. Yeah. So,
There's an organization in Bluffton, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, that does that, where it's retired or people that were in a certain business, and they help businesses get either start up or get to another level. Because sometimes you can bring your business to a certain point, and it's just hard to bring it to the next level without having some of that guidance.
Yes. Well, there's SCORE, which I think is Bluffton and Hilton Head, and I have used some of their, I guess they call them mentors, just to help kind of map out things. And then there's also the Don Ryan Center here in Bluffton.
That's the one, Don Ryan. Yeah, great.
Yep.
I'm going to ask you a little bit off the cuff question here.
Yeah, sure.
Would you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
Oh boy. Can I say that I'm an extroverted introvert?
That's what I say. That's exactly what I say.
Yes.
Because I'm naturally an introvert, but I'm extroverted in certain circumstances. It's funny you say that. That's exactly what I say.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of people that are like that. Everyone thinks that a business owner is this extroverted person, and they like to be out there and being in front of people and talking. And in general, we do. But there are definitely times where we just don't want to.
Right. There are definitely times that I need to retreat, and I feel like that's like my repowering time. I really have to just like sit down and watch mindless television or maybe try to read a book, but sometimes that's even too much. So
You need to power your mind down.
yes, exactly.
So this is a podcast about defining wealth beyond the numbers, right? So we always finish it off with, how has your definition of wealth evolved over the years? So how was it when you first started working, and where is it now?
Wow. Yeah, it's definitely evolved. When I first started working, wealth was just really about building money. It's like, how much money do I have in my bank account? You know, it was more the numbers. But over the years, wealth has really become more about freedom and time to me, and not so much the money. Obviously we all want to live comfortably, and we want to be able to give our kids things that we didn't have and those things. But, if someone had asked me probably 5 years ago if I would just accept being, working for myself and grinding, to make sure that the bills are paid, versus like kind of being in a cushy situation, I should say, not a cushy job, because it was very, it was a lot and stressful, but a cushy situation of, oh, I know where the money's coming from. I know what I can buy. I know what I can have. I don't think I would have said, oh yeah, I'll choose grinding over that. But now today, I just feel like it's not even grinding to me. It's just me being able to do something that I really love, that I feel means so much more than what I was doing before. I honestly felt like, there was like no mission to what I was doing except to make money. And that didn't feel, at some point, that really didn't feel good anymore.
I find, it's just in my opinion, it can't just be about money. Money can be a result, but it's what happens to get to a certain point. And for you, it's the freedom, which is great. And
right.
You've done very well for yourself, as I can see. You're an extrovert if you don't think you are. And thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Oh, I love being here. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Awesome.